Unfortunately, today's social media sites are incredibly powerful, and I feel that we are fighting an uphill battle which we cannot possibly win unless some form of effective control is imposed on these websites. At the moment, it's a free-for-all. The propagators of this propaganda can hide behind fake identities, and there's no consequence for them, so lies can be propagated with no risk attached to being found out to have lied and misled people. And I feel that such controls are long overdue, and I hope and pray that eventually some politician will be brave enough. I know free speech is incredibly precious, but there must be a difference between free speech and hate speech, inciting people not only to hold sort of perverted views, but much of it is actually incitement to violence.
Can you speak to us about that? Because hate speech, if you now drawing an analogy from Nazi Germany, a lot of the propaganda that the Nazis used has made a similar resurgence with some of the anti-Semitism you've referred to in modern times. And so, in particular, how genocides are related to hate speech and how hate speech lays the ground for genocides.
Well, in Germany, in the 1930s, the Nazis still permitted Jews to leave the country, and Jews were desperate to leave. But before a Jew was permitted to leave Germany, the Nazis would strip them of all their possessions. Their bank accounts, any possessions they had would be confiscated. And in those days, the climate towards giving shelter to refugees fleeing to save their lives was, well, the most kind way I can put it, total indifference. There was just nowhere to go. A few of the more merciful countries like America and the UK had annual visa quotas, but when an annual quota was filled, then the doors were shut until the next year's quota became available. There was just nowhere to run.
Is that how you came in on a quota?
We didn't know. We didn't come on a quota. We attempted to get visas to go to America, but I recall my parents telling me that each time they got close to success, the Americans moved the goalpost and imposed additional conditions. One of the things was that you had to be sponsored by a resident of the country who had to show financial ability to ensure that the prospective immigrant would never be a liability on the state. And they kept changing the requirements to prove this. And as a result, my parents never received their visas, and that is why we were eventually sent to the camps. We were praying to get to America, and so were every other Jew in Germany wanted to leave, but there was no one wanted us. Today's climate, hundreds of thousands of people are roaming halfway across the world, and they're received humanely and given shelter and are cared for. But that was not the case. And propaganda, I believe that Hitler's propaganda minister believed that any lie, no matter how vile, would eventually be accepted as truth if it was repeated often enough. And that, unfortunately, is what's happening today.
Was that that was by Goebbels?
Yeah, I believe so, yes.
Yeah. And you're saying that's happening today, where lies are being repeated and repeated?
It may sound extreme to you, but I've thought about it, and my feeling is that today's social websites have taken the place of the Nazi propaganda ministry, except that they're many times more powerful. Technical advances have given them a power which the Nazis could only dream about. And every lie can be amplified and sort of received by thousands of people more or less instantly. That was not the case back in those 1930 days.